Once the greatest empire the world has seen, bigger than Mongols, Romans, or Chinese. Divide and rule policy used fear and strategic ways of politics to dominate other nations and making them to slaves. In other words, they don't exist in paper nor anywhere. They wander around the nation like a ghost. Innovations of latest weapons and technology coming in small group of numbers and dominating the majority of the native citizens. The dominance of English language grew the peak dominance. Imagine a Japanese country where a Japanese married a Sudani. Imagine how their offspring looks like. Now multiply it with a million, but what actually happening is perversion and division of beliefs and morality. Lack of belief. Once a Christian nation, Lebanon is now Islam nation. It's not about religion, but too much of universities and devaluation of the certificates, and people are wandering around like vampires. Found predators praying a weak leader behind the scenes for their global agenda. Father is working, mother is working, father is working at day, mother is working at night, and children are left alone. If it's a boy, you'll be either isolated or you'll be in a gang. If it's a girl, she'll find some reasons to get a pocket money. Once the greatest and the biggest empire the world has ever seen. It was bigger empire than Mongols, Romans, or even Chinese. They ruled and influenced almost the entire world once. Everyone feared them. They come, conquer, and make other people as slaves. Divide and rule was one of their policy. They come and rule in small in numbers compared to the natives. They used fear, politics, and strategies. With the help of gunpowders and latest technologies of weapons, no enemies could withstand them. They would defeat them a mile apart. The utmost power and peak of the dominance is still evident. The universal language, the fact that I'm forced to talk now in English, and the reason why you understand this language is because of that reason. No time in the history of the world that we could understand each other. There was no common language that existed until they come into dominance. Of course, I'm talking about the royal family who ruled the British Empire, the most powerful family and royalty that existed in the face of the planet. They had such an influence in the global politics and the shaping of the world history as we see right now. Like every empire, it has a rise and fall. Like the universe, everything in it is cyclical. What goes around comes around. Slaves today will be the kings and the emperors of tomorrow. These are the reason for the downfall of the British Empire and the capital of the entity along with the other European nations. Number one, the mass immigration. If you know the history of civilization and kingdoms, if you know a fraction of it, then you will understand it's one of the founding and the biggest reason for the downfall of a nation. When it comes to kingdom or nation, its leaders can't go with emotions, but with logic and benefits of their nations. Oh, these people are poor, they are hungry, they are sad, they are lonely. Yes, it's true, but along with them comes problems and bad people. After their stomach is full, they will do what they only know. Culture get mixed, their fundamental beliefs and customs get mixed. Their morals and what they stand for now is vanished. It becomes an empty vessel, and when it's empty like vacuum, it gets filled with what is in the surrounding. Suddenly, a Christian nation becomes Islam nation, like once a Christian nation called Lebanon became an Islam nation. It's not about religion. For example, if a Japanese country is now filled with Japanese people whose leader is Japanese, is suddenly switched now by an African leader who follows native shamanic religion. How it sounds like. Their fundamental beliefs and culture is gone. They don't have any parameters of boundaries of their beliefs. Do you understand? So, number two, leaders who rule a nation should be descendants of their genetics, who should have at least 2 generations of their roots. No matter how good you are as a person or how good is your intention, a nation stands for its culture. Its history is rooted to their ancestors. The morals, the blood, the revolution, the stories, the sufferings once their ancestors had gone through and felt can only be understood and perceived by their offsprings or their descendants. So what I'm trying to say is that no matter how good your intention is, you wouldn't know, and you would be the reason for the change of it and the beginning of the downfall of an empire. Number 3, I have talked about immigrants, but in that category there is another sector of people which are illegal immigrants. In other words, they don't exist in any paper, they don't exist anywhere, but are ghosts found everywhere. The problem with them is that they are helpless and illiterate. If they had a percentage of literacy or luck test, they would have survived in their country and need not come here unless it's war in the first place. Even if it's war, a nation without boundary is deemed to fall by their enemies. Most of the illegal immigrants are so illiterate, they wouldn't know anything but to do the legal work. Again, it's not about work, but because of the work and the scarcity of work, they are paid low. And because they are illegal and they don't exist, they're even paid low. So the animal and the criminal side of these people emerge. No matter how good you are a person or your intention. When it comes to their family and life or death situation, to fill their or their kids' stomach, they are forced to do stuffs. Now this is a story of one person. Now multiply it with a million people. This, I'm talking about good people whose heart is soft, but reality is that most of the people are bad. They have genuine bad hearts and bad intentions. London is a city where they attack grandmother. There are rapists. They steal and loot. So there has to be a point where they have to stop this mass illegal immigrants who travel by sea by fake visas. Number 4. People from the nation are going abroad for better opportunity as their country is filled with their foreigners. Imagine a country with no of their citizens, and what does it stand for? America. Now you might wonder, America is good, right? But that's a story you like to hear. But the reality is another. Now that's a whole different story. The story right now is evilish, but once it began, it was chaotic. But in the chaos, because of strong leaders, things started to happen innovatively, and revolution of science has happened. But what America initially stands for has gone and vanished. Native Americans and such people vanished, who were pure soul, who connected with the nature, was forced to exile, and after a century, people with no soul who worship devils exist now. Number 5. There are no strong leader, but a weak one. Any nation's backbone is their leaders. Without a good leader, a strong leader with strong values and morals, they cease to downfall. Now, morals, ethics, and values is needed for a good leader and for the benefit of their country. If not a good leader, at least he has to be a strong leader, or else they have to be puppet for stronger predators who acts behind the scenes, and we don't even know who the enemies are, and you all have to take dildo up in your ass. So strong leader, not only he has to be a strong leader from their nation with their genetics spanning for over 2 generations. Imagine a ruler in Dubai is now swapped with Japanese leader who now follows Buddhist religion. It's the same what I'm talking about. The very reason what they stand for is ceased to exist, and it goes into vacuum, and it will be filled with some garbage that is on the air. Do you understand? Number 6. Too much of universities and the devaluation of their certificates. These people are scattered in all areas of the country, wandering like vampires to suck the blood of its roots. The goals of the elites is to attain as much money as possible for them, but in the longer run, it's damaging the country. Number 7, it's a lack of belief. Once the Christian nation is now an atheist country or an Islam nation, there are as many or more mosques than church in UK. The fundamental beliefs are gone and nothing is uniting them. A nation with no cause or unity is deemed to fail. Instead of standing as a community, they are separated or isolated as individual or small family units. Number 8, no unity in family. Initially, there was a strong foundation for a family, but now it's getting further divorced, and new system of running family is getting updated since the dawn of human times. Husband work, wife work, one work day and the other work at night, child most probably alone or with gangsters or using drugs. If it's a girl, she finds a way to make a pocket money. If it's boy, he's either isolated or in some gang. These parents have an affair either in office or elsewhere, and this real family is just formality. There is no fundamental ethics or unity. It's the new fashion of open-mindedness in the name of good, but actually what is happening is perversion and division of beliefs and morality. Number 9, the diversity of community or ethnic group. Imagine a Japanese country with a Japanese wife marrying a Sudani husband, and their offspring looks half Sudani and half Japanese. Now multiply it with a million people. Now imagine a Japanese country looks like. What will be their belief now? Whose beliefs should they follow? You tell me. What rules? What customs? What religion or what culture? So, it's one of the biggest downfall for a nation. The intention is good, no people are bad, and all what they're trying to do is to survive. But there has to be a boundary, a full stop, where it has to end. There has to be some custom or culture for a nation to exist. There has to be a strong leader to protect their historical values and beliefs.